Welcome to the Rat Race to 5 podcast, where we discuss money, mindset, real estate investing, and ways to achieve financial independence. Whether you are a rookie or a veteran needing new ideas for investing or creating side hustles, you're in the right place. Here to challenge you to think out of the box, your hosts, Felipe Mejia and Diego Corzo.
Hey, what's up, Diego? I'm super excited that we're finally starting the Rat Race to Financial Independence podcast. We get this DM all the time. When are you guys starting a podcast?
Man, I am very excited because this is now the time where we are going to be able to hear the stories of many people so that we can continue inspiring others, hear from their stories in the hopes that it helps them take action. So yeah, I'm just as excited as you are.
Dude, I'm super excited. I can't wait to hear all the stories. We have a great list of people that we're going to be interviewing. Like today, for example, we have Amy Swayze, who on her first deal, get this, bro, she does 6 figures on her first deal. That's unheard of. And I'm super excited to dig into it.
No, she is amazing because this is her first year in real estate. And one of my favorite parts too is that she has increased her net worth by over $500,000. So that is just amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. I can't wait to get into it. You know what? Let's not banter anymore. Let's get it right into it. Amy, how are you? Welcome to Rat Race to 5 podcast. Super excited to have you. I know you have some great insight and some great details about some of the deals you've done. I'd love to hear that. So go ahead and tell everyone who you are, Amy. Introduce yourself, and let's get right into it.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I'm Amy Swayze, and I'm from Selah, Washington. And I have been investing for 11 months at this point.
Wow, only 11 months? Interesting.
I decided to jump in February 14th, right before COVID hit.
Are you serious? That's a great time to start. Well, why did you get started right February 14th, obviously, and then right before COVID? Tell us that story.
Well, I, for one, didn't know COVID was going to be happening. However, I'm in partnership with my son, and his name is Chris, and we live close by each other, and we decided that he needed an investment and I wanted something to look forward to for retirement. And so we decided to go partnerships. And once we decided that, we started looking and found a house right when we decided to do this. We went full bore and didn't let anything stop us and had a house immediately.
That's so interesting. Before we get to all the real estate stuff, though, because that's coming, I do want to know, how is it being in business with family, and especially your son, and you know the hurdles of that? Can you talk a little bit about that relationship there?
Yeah, it can be interesting, but as far as we go, I think when the partnership was started, we delegated responsibilities. So we knew what each one of us was going to be doing. I knew Chris was the numbers guy and Chris is the money person. And so he takes care of the spreadsheets, takes care of the financing part of it, where in turn I'm the boots on the ground person. I take care of the contractors. I take care of scheduling them, letting them in the houses. So I think working with family, you just have to set those boundaries and know what responsibilities each person has.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, Amy.
Yeah, I was going to say, and my son and I were pretty much alike. So we kind of feed off of each other and bounce ideas off of each other. So it's not like we scream and yell at each other all the time.
That's right, Amy. But one of the things that you said that I really like was that both of you guys have different tasks, different things that you guys bring to the table as a partnership. And why, from that perspective, why do you think that the delegating of the tasks from that perspective is so important?
Well, from my perspective, because if I don't do the job I'm supposed to be doing, or he doesn't do the job he's supposed to be doing, nothing is going to come full force and we're not going to get our project completed that we're working on, or we may not get financing in the first place. So, like he's the financing numbers guy. So If he says he's going to go get financing and I'm sitting back here thinking he's going to do that because that's his job and he doesn't do it, well, then we never have money to get a house. So then you're not progressing forward with your goals.
Good. I like that. That's a great answer. Delegating, I think, is really important. And even in like most partnerships that I've been in, each partner has like their own responsibility, right? And I tell a lot of people, like, when you're going to get into a partnership with someone, whether it's family or whether it's not, one, delegation is great and very, very important. But also with that, you have to identify your strengths, right, Amy? Like, you have to be able to say, I'm good at this and you're good at this, and I know that I'm not good at this and that's what you're good at. So, why not you take what you're good at? I'm going to take what I'm good at. And why don't we maybe even, pay for someone to do the things that we're both not good at? Let's talk about that. Was there something that both of you guys didn't want to do that you guys contracted out, and we'll get into the nuts and bolts in a minute, but was there something that you guys didn't like to do?
I don't know that it is a question of if we don't like to do it, more as can somebody do it better than we can and faster than we can to save us money in the long run. When I first started thinking about this, I grew up with a father that had rentals and he did everything himself, which it burned him out. And so going into it, I thought, okay, I've got to be able to do this and this and this. However, in listening to a few different people and ideas, I was told to put a dollar amount figure on what I was worth. And if I was going to do something, to figure out how much time it would take me to do that, and then figure out how much time it would take a professional to do that, and see who in the long run would be saving you money. And what I found is I do not save myself money by doing that.
Exactly.
So the other thing that does is if I hire somebody to do something that I am not as fast or not as capable of doing, it allows me more time to work on the things that will get me further in my business.
Yeah. And Amy, and that's something that I like, because it does get you to realize, okay, what are the things that I might be able to outsource, right? Whether that is with contractors or whether it is in your own business, whatever it is, what are those tasks that somebody else might be able to do at a lower rate than what you value your time on? So I really like that.
Yes, exactly. And communication, I would say, is another huge part in partnerships. You have to have that communication. I'll get into it later, but we ran into a big snaggle with our first house due to COVID and stuff. And if we wouldn't have had the communication between the two of us that we did, then the project would have went south really quick.
Well, let's talk about communication real quick, and then let's get into the nuts and bolts of the story of the deal that we're going to talk about today. Why is communication important when dealing with, your partner, contractors, etc.? Can you give us some examples?
Sure. Yeah. Well, if I have issues, kind of like, say my tenant doesn't pay rent, well, that's probably important for my son to know that money's not going to be going into the checking account. So when he needs to write a check for the mortgage payment, oh, where's the money? So that is one form of communication. And the other, I would say, is, if we're expecting a contractor to show up, that's my job, and I find out that this contractor won't be there for 2 weeks. If I don't tell my son that, then when he's figuring the amounts and stuff, he's thinking that we're getting work done in 2 weeks that we're not getting done, which in turn makes us have 2 more weeks of additional holding costs that we weren't planning on having. So it's huge in that communication in every aspect of the remodeling of the whole business: financial, remodel, completion.
I love that. That's great. I think communication is extremely important when it comes to business, relationships, real estate. I mean, in all aspects, with a lack of communication, I think a lot of things can go down really, really quick. And that's a great segue. Let's communicate now about your deal. Can you talk to us a little bit about your very first deal, or a deal that you've done that you can tell us a great story on, so that we can kind of dig into it, so that our listeners kind of can see what you've done? And you said you don't even have a year in real estate. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes. I have 11.
I'm so excited to get into this.
We have 11 months.
Wow.
So, February, well, we found a house and closed on it February 14th. That was our first deal. We found it on the MLS. There were 5 offers total. So we knew that there would be a lot of offers. So we offered higher than the listing price. And we also put in an escalation clause. So basically,
What's an escalation clause?
so the escalation clause is, so we ran our numbers and I knew the highest price that I would pay for this. So what I did is I made an offer over full price with an escalation clause that says I will beat out anybody in a $500 increment bid up to a certain amount. And then if somebody else brings in an offer over that amount, then I'm automatically out. But if somebody else has an escalation clause and you don't know what theirs is, so it's just a kind of a guessing game, then they could jump me up, which in turn would jump mine up. So example, I made the offer for $135,000. I put in an escalation clause that I would go to $140,000. And when the other offers came in, some of them were they offered over the asking price. Others were at asking price. So the one that offered over the asking price, they offered 130. I think it was 135 also, but they asked for closing costs. Anyways, I used my escalation clause and it jumped me up to $500. So I paid $500 more than what I made my offer for in order to get this house. But if I wouldn't have had that escalation clause, then it wouldn't have automatically jumped me up.
Got it. And yeah, for sure. And you are in Washington State, correct?
Yes, I'm in Washington State. Yes.
Yes, and one of the things for the audience here, one of the things that's very important to note is that the escalation clause can be used in some states, and in other states you can't. For example, I'm a realtor here in Austin, and here in Texas, we cannot write escalation clause on the promulgated contracts as realtors. So that's one thing to just be aware of, whatever state you're in. Sometimes this is a great tool to use, but just make sure that you do it in the right states.
That's interesting because here in Nashville, we have escalation clauses and I use them all the time. I always offer like 10,000 less than I really, and I actually don't talk about this enough. Maybe I should. I thought this was nationwide. For example, I put in an offer today on a property at 240, escalation 10,000. So it really went in at 230 and I'll go as high as 240, just like Amy, in $1,000 increments. But I need proof that someone else had offered $1,000 less than my escalation clause is going up. So that's a requirement. I didn't know that wasn't nationwide though. Good point there.
Yeah, and from that perspective, that's why it's very important to speak with the right team, with the right realtor, whoever you have in place that's gonna be helping you out, that they know all of this stuff so that they can, when they do write the offer, they put you in the best position possible.
I like that. All right, Amy. So escalation clause, can you tell us what you got it for and then keep on going?
Yep. So we ended up getting it for $135,500, and we figured that we would need to put about $25,000 repair into it, and our ARV was $195,000.
How'd you get those numbers? How'd you figure out how much you were going to pay? Okay, well, let's start from the beginning. How'd you get the money? How'd you figure out how much you were going to pay? How'd you figure out ARV? Let's really get into it.
Okay, so we used hard money. My son went to a hard money lender, awesome lender. It was easy. I think we had the okay after a day, and we were approved for $500,000. So we were like, wow. So that was like the first step, because we didn't know that it, never doing this before. It was fairly simple, and we're like, where are we going to get the money from? But there it was. And they will finance the repairs, but we have to front the money for the repairs up front. And then they come and they do an inspection. Once they see that that's done, then they will give you that money back.
So you could put it like on a credit card or something and then get the points for it and then have them pay.
Yes, exactly.
I love that. That's a good strategy.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that's how we started, had the hard money, we made our offer, got it accepted, closed on it. and then started doing repairs, which we had no idea how much anything was going to cost. So I read a book on how to do repairs. And my son does have a little bit of construction knowledge from when he was in high school. He worked for a contractor.
Oh, okay.
So, but the other thing is we just got online and we looked to see how much stuff was at Home Depot. And we did a guesstimate on, okay, we have this much square feet that we want to do for new flooring. Flooring is $3 a square foot. Okay, this is our estimate for flooring. Or I walked the aisles in Home Depot to find some things that I didn't know how much they were going to cost for repairs. So I need an estimate. That's kind of, do your due diligence and figure it out any way you can. So then we listed out what we thought our repairs would be. And then I sat and tried to find properties equivalent to what we just bought that were nicer and what I thought we could sell it for when we were done. And our ARV was 195.
195. And Amy, really quick, was this a property that you found on the MLS, off market? What was the property?
This first one we bought was on the MLS. And then we bought another one exactly a month later after getting this first property.
Oh man. Okay. And earlier you said that you bought this one using hard money. So can you explain the difference between using hard money? What is it? And also what's the difference between that and a regular conventional loan?
So hard money is, there's not as many restrictions to go through to get hard money. And basically you're borrowing money from somebody on a very, very short term loan. So we had the choice of 6 months or a year. And because we were inexperienced, we decided to take the year. And if we got done sooner, great. But we didn't want to be stuck if we didn't get done sooner. So what that means is after a year, I have to have that loan with my hard money lender paid off. And I plan on refinancing the house when I'm completed with it. And with a hard money lender, you don't have to have as much money down to get into the loan also. We had to have 15% down because this was the first loan we had done. The hard money lender does charge more interest than a conventional loan, way more interest and more fees. So you have to be aware of that. But if you have nowhere else to get money, if we couldn't have done that hard money, there's no way we could have done these deals. So for us, paying that extra in interest is a no-brainer because we're going to make it up in the end.
Exactly.
So, Amy, for those out there that are like, oh, well, there's not enough deals, there's no money, like what happens if I find a deal and I don't have the money to do this? Correct me if I'm wrong. This was either your first or your second deal only, right? And then you used like this hard money. What allowed you to do that? And when I say that, what I mean by that is like, I think I would be scared to do that on my first deal. Can you walk us through that emotional state?
Oh yeah, I was scared. I had heard of hard money. I'd never really, looked into it, but to me, I felt like it's a loan shark. You always hear about these loan sharks. They're going to steal your money and whatnot. But it's not that way at all. Once you get into it, I was really nervous. But the thing that I learned and my son and I discussed is we had our numbers. Our numbers were solid. We were very conservative when we ran our numbers. And we had a plan. And we knew that we had to stick to that plan. But we don't only have one plan because there's so many different scenarios that come up when you're doing this. We have plan A, B, C, D. And if something comes up, then we go to plan B. If something comes up, we go to plan C. There is always a solution for an issue or a problem. You just have to be able to take the time and dig into finding that solution.
Exactly, man. That's really good because I think that it's super important, especially for any kind of investor. It's really important to note if you're going to be buying a property, if something happens, what's the expectation, right? Let's say you're house hacking it and living with roommates, but what do the numbers look like if you have to put a family there? Or what if you're doing a flip and all of a sudden it's taking a long time to sell? What plan B might be to find a renter there, right? So you have to, when you're running the numbers, it's super important to look at different scenarios just in case.
Exactly.
I love that. Super prepared.
Yes. Or what if you start when COVID hits and everything shuts down? And so now you have contractors that can't get there and you can't get your supplies either. So you have to be very creative and work around issues like we had to do with this first house.
That's intense. All right. So you got the house, you start working on it. Give us the nitty gritty while it's getting worked on. Did everything go super smooth? Exactly how you thought it was going to go? Was it a perfect flip?
Have you ever heard one of those before? Because if you have, I would like to know about
No,
that.
Amy, I have not. Diego, have you?
Not yet.
No, it did not go super smooth. It was not, no. So first, we were so excited to get this. It closed Valentine's Day. That weekend we started working, and for anybody out there listening, please wear safety glasses, because I had to learn the hard way. That very first day I had a board kick back and slam me in the eye, right underneath my eye. And so I had a black eye walking around for I don't know how long. But those are great memories and stories to tell. We had contractors that didn't show up when they were supposed to. Our biggest hurdle was this was a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house that we were converting into a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. Had a basement, so we were adding a bathroom and a basement and a bedroom, all in the basement.
Wow.
And so with this bathroom, we had to add a pressurized bathroom system to get it to flow up to grade in this house. So what that means is my plumber came in and told us what we needed to have done. We needed to cut out the concrete in the basement. The other thing we had to do in the basement was it had a really, really tiny window in it. We wanted to make a bedroom, so we had to cut out the sidewall in the house of the basement to be able to put in a window big enough to classify it as a bedroom. So, yes, we had the concrete contractor all set up to come out. And that was on the day that COVID closed everything down. He showed up, but he wouldn't get out of his truck. And he said, no, I'm not going to come in. And so long story short, everything was closed down. We had no idea how long it was going to be closed. We didn't want to wait an additional, we were guessing 2 weeks. So we went and bought a concrete saw, and we cut the concrete out of the basement for the bathroom and the window all by ourselves.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to let you walk over that story. You did what?
Yeah.
Where'd you get the saw? Do you just have one in your backyard?
We went and bought one.
Oh my
Lord. Went and bought a concrete cutting saw, and we bought a Milwaukee battery concrete cutting saw. Figure we could have it for future uses, but we thought we had other Milwaukee batteries, so we didn't need to get a big one. Well, if anyone's listening and they go buy a concrete saw, make sure you buy that big battery. They have big batteries for a reason.
Yeah.
So you went to town on this concrete.
We did, exactly. So we were framing and everything at the same time. So what my son would do is he would make the battery only lasted for about I don't even know how long, not even a minute. It would get hot, it would quit. So we would let these batteries charge, go through 8 batteries, make our cuts, run back upstairs while the batteries were charging, frame, do whatever else demo we had to do, run back down, make more cuts. And after 12 hours, I don't even know, we got the wall cut out in the basement.
Let's go.
One of the things that I do like about this story, Amy, is that you just figure it out. There was no like, oh, this sucks, or this is hard, or I have never done this before. It was more like, okay, there is a problem, but what is the solution? If nobody else can do it, I can do it myself. Or you and your son, of course, and then you just were able to make it happen. I really like that, because there's a lot of people that would have created excuses. A lot of people that would have said, oh, this is hard. You know what? We made a mistake. I told you we shouldn't have done this, or like so many different things. But I'm really happy that you did find a solution for it.
My philosophy is perseverance. If you continue to persevere, you will get where you want to go in life. And it's no different when you're remodeling on a house. You might not know what you need to do, and we didn't know either, but that's where we took time and we sat and we Googled and we researched and we figured out what could we do? What are our options out there to save us 2 weeks in holding costs? And, now hindsight, we don't know. It might have been a month before they were opened back up to come out. So
if at all, So that's
exactly
great. That's excellent. That reminds me a lot of like, my mom going through some of the things that she had to go through while going through a divorce. Nothing like cutting into the wall, but I remember when my parents got divorced when I was 11, my mom didn't let the divorce like crush us as a family, right? Like she held our family together. And there's something empowering about like that just women have this like can-do grit attitude. And I definitely see that in you. I can see you crushing these goals. So I'm ready to hear about like the outcome. Okay, so you cut in. What happened to the rest of the flip? And then tell us what were the numbers after.
Yeah, so it went pretty good, smooth after that, getting everything. We had a hardwood floor, so I redid those. We put in a new kitchen. We basically did a full gut on this place in 5 months. When we got it appraised for our refinanced, it appraised at $103,500 more than we purchased it for.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
So
yeah.
let's take
we
that
put
back.
about
Go ahead.
We put about $30,000 into the reno.
So you bought, okay, what'd you buy it for? What'd you put into it? How long? And then what was it?
So let's see, basically $135,500 is what we bought it for. Let's see, $135,500. I think we put about 30,000 reno into it. It was $239,000 that it appraised for, and in 5 months.
Wow.
We ended up renting it for more than we expected, and we're getting about $550 a door. We're getting $550 for the door on it. So
nice.
that's our monthly cash flow on it is $550.
Got it. And did you already do the refinance and all of that?
Yes, which took forever. And if I can stress one thing, also COVID, but also if I can stress one thing to listeners, it is please find a refi that is familiar with rentals and doing this, because we went to somebody that had no idea how to do. We were wanting to do the BRRRR method to pull our down payment back out of it, and it was just one thing. It was not a good situation at all. So we have found a different lender for our second one, needless to say.
Very good. Okay.
That's good.
So did you refinance $100,000 out? Did you just pay the lender and leave the equity in? What'd you do?
We refinanced as much as we could out. And I don't have those numbers in front of me, but
That's okay.
we did. We took as much out. We paid off the lender, and I think it came back to like, I don't even I'm not the money person, so no.
Amy, girl, I feel you. Look, Diego and I are business partners, and I'm the same way. Like, I can get deals, I can make things happen, but when it comes to numbers, I'm like, you're gonna have to talk to Diego.
I know I know that, we're getting great cash flow on it. Our COC was like, huge return.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know we refinanced out, we got money back. So now we have all of our down payment back plus to go buy another deal, which
That's
is
awesome.
which is exciting. And we already had our second deal, so we haven't bought another one, but we are in the process right now of looking for more deals because the second deal we bought was a very interesting one because it was 2 houses on one parcel. And so we had 2 houses to remodel instead of 1 house to remodel. So that's kept us very busy. So that's why we haven't gotten another one yet, but we just sent out letters yesterday. So
good for you. I mean,
it's gonna be
no, I was just gonna say, I mean, on one deal, $100,000. I mean, heck, I'd be okay for the next 6 months as well.
Yeah, well, our second deal, can I tell you a little bit about that?
Of course.
For
really
sure,
exciting.
for sure.
So our second deal is not complete. The third house is halfway through. The second house, I think I have 2 more weeks and I'll be able to rent it. But the exciting thing about this is what I did is I was thinking out of the box, and I have 2 houses on like a quarter of an acre. So I can't subdivide those because there's not enough land. But how in the world can I get them to their own parcel to get me a free house in the back? Well, I researched and researched and researched, and I did it. So we have now, the back house is now its own parcel, and the front house is now its own parcel. So we can sell those houses individually and not as a package together. So I'm so excited. So now basically we have a free back house that's worth about $200,000.
Well, how'd you do that?
So I turned them in, I used air rights instead of land rights. So I turned them into what's called air condos, went to my surveying company, sat down, talked to the surveying company, had the surveyors come out. And so they're like condominiums now, even though they're houses.
Got it.
And they're not attached. So it's just been a thrilling, exciting adventure. I've learned so much from that.
So now, Amy, is it like an A and B unit since they're condos?
It's like 1304 and a half and 1304.
Okay.
And you can sell them separately, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They have their own parcel number now. Yes. So that's why this is such a home run deal on this, is because I dug and figured out how to get this to work. And so now when we were only going to be able to sell them together as a package, well, now we're going to get so much more if we were to sell them because we can sell the back house individually.
That's great. And this was your second deal, correct?
This is our second deal that we're still working on. Yes.
That we're still working on. Yeah. But what's so interesting is that you were able, just on your first deal, you increase your, like, the value, like your net worth by 100,000, let's say. And then on the second deal, by you literally doing the air condos, through doing that strategy, you've been able to increase your net worth even more, having the building on the equity just on your second deal.
Right.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I am like super happy for you because this year has been like crazy and you're already on the progress to make your third deal happen in a year. So that's awesome.
We've went from like a start of 275 net worth to about 700 net worth in these 2 deals.
That's amazing.
It's thrilling. It's exhilarating, and it just makes you want to continue more. And just, I love telling everybody about it. For one, I never know who is going to have properties and say, oh, really? I have properties. Oh, maybe this person would want to sell. So I try and talk about this everywhere I go to everybody I know. But on the other hand, is I love helping people. And so if I can tell my stories and somebody can get just one little golden nugget from it, that's made my day. And that's what I want to continue to do.
Amy, I think that's great because I think a lot of people don't realize that, all it takes is one to change the trajectory of your life. Can we all agree on that? All it takes is that one deal to just put you on a completely different path that you're going on. and everything is worth the risk. I bet you cutting through that concrete that you cut through is like the last thing that you're thinking about. Now you have going on to this third deal. You're like, oh, I would do that 100 times over to be able to continue to do what I'm doing. And another thing that I love that you said was that you tell everyone what you do, right? You basically manifest your reality of investing in real estate by telling every single person that you can. And it's just getting the word out there that Amy Swayze is the one that's out there buying real estate.
Right.
I do want to dig in a little bit more into this air rights situation that you did, because I've never heard of it. I don't know how to do that. Can you give us a little bit more of the nitty gritty on how that works and how that came about?
Yeah. So I have a friend that's a builder. And so I was asking questions.
Those are good to have.
Talk to everybody you know. And it was just like, well, you might be able to do this, maybe you could call somebody, check into it. So then I started researching online, and I called the surveying company, and they said, well, we can come out and look and, see if it's doable. And that's how it got started, and it was doable. And so I just kind of ran with it. It was trial and error. And
I think that comes back to asking the right questions, and even, I think like you said, you had a friend that was a builder. And I think sometimes we forget that the people in our network really can positively affect our net worth if we just ask the questions, right? So, I'm assuming that you just asked and was like, hey, I need to get this done. I need to maximize my return on this. How can I do that? And I think that's just persevering through the no's.
And so basically it was, an idea that was given to me. And then I just had to take that idea and research and run with it, and just keep calling people to say, hey, I'm wanting to know if I can do this. What do you think? Oh, I'm not sure, but maybe you could call this person. Okay, perfect. Thank you. And so then call the next person. Can I do this? What do you think? Well, maybe you can do this. So again, it's putting in the hard work. It's putting in the time. And how bad do you want it? If you want it bad enough, you're going to put in the time to do it.
Exactly, Amy. I totally agree with you. And one of the coolest things, I think, that a lot of people may not think that they could grow their net worth by $500,000 in their first year investing in real estate. And you've been able to do that. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And so I am very happy for you and your son. And as we wrap up here a little bit, what from the properties that you've been doing, the different strategies, what has been your favorite strategy so far, and why, with investing in real estate?
Well, both of our strategies have been BRRRRs.
Okay.
So we haven't done anything different. The difference is our second one was an off-market deal from sending out mailers. So the first one was an MLS. The second one was an off-market deal. So, that was a little bit different because we had to figure out offering. You have to, get the credibility with the person that is selling it and figure out what to offer, how to offer.
Can we talk about that a little bit about finding off-market deals? How'd you find the deal? How did you market to this person? Can you kind of give us the 30,000-foot view of how you went from sending the mailer to closing that deal?
Sure. We bought a list for unoccupied owner list. We sent that out. Got the call back from them. They'd had this rental for a while. He had health issues. And so we just scheduled a meeting with them, talked to them, tried to get to know them. We want to know what's going on with their life so we can help them the best that we can. And so we wanted them to know us. We got to know them. My son and I would then discuss, what do you think we can pay for this? What's it's worth? Run our numbers. And so then what we did is we went back and we took an offer to the gentleman But not only did we take an offer, we had 3 different options for him.
Why is that important?
It's so easy to say, you take an offer and they're going to be no, But if I take an offer that has 3 options, there may be something that that seller has not even thought about. For example, I had a cash offer. I had a partial cash offer with seller financing. And then I had an additional cash offer with different seller financing. So, maybe the seller hadn't even thought about some of that. Maybe he would want to hold it for 3 years and get interest on that. It kind of plants a seed in the sellers. So you don't know, and it gives them more options also than just flat out saying no.
Yeah, and I feel too, Amy, is that at this point, with you giving them options, it creates sort of that win-win situation.
Exactly. Yes. Mm-hmm. And so we presented the offer, and he's like, oh, it was interesting because he and his wife were sitting there, and she liked one of the offers, and he liked the other offer.
Of course.
Then they went home and discussed it. My son and I went home and discussed it, and then we came to an offer that we agreed on. And
I think that's important. Like Diego said, coming to a win-win situation where, you don't come in with one offer and say it's either take it or leave it type of situation. People are emotional about their homes. And if you're just like, oh, this is a take it or leave it situation, most of the times, even if it makes sense, they're going to say no because they feel pressured. So kudos to you for saying, here's 3 options. Why don't we try to come to some sort of agreement?
Right. So then we did. Yes.
You can continue.
So then we did get the offer, and then it was like, okay, well, now we have to write up the purchase and sales agreement. And so how do we do that? So back to square one, back to researching again, back to figuring it all out. But again, perseverance, we did it. We took it to the title company, smooth, very, very fast closing. I think it was a 2-week closing. It was fast.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. And Amy, too, just so that the audience is aware, you do have a full-time job, correct?
Yes, both my son and I are still in our full-time positions. Yes.
Wait, you're telling me I don't have to quit my job to invest in real estate? What?
No, but let me tell you, I'm ready.
Right? Yeah. But Amy, what I really like about this is that you could have created so many excuses. And I always go back to this. It's sort of like you've been able to buy multiple properties in your first year, find one on the MLS, find one off market, do the hustle, everything while doing your actual, while having a full-time job, right?
Yes.
Just having your life, of course, with your work and everything, plus even doing your side hustle technically, which is your real estate. So it's just fascinating to me that you just said yes to any opportunity that just showed up, because a lot of people will have created so many excuses like, oh, I don't have time to send out mailers. I don't have time to pick up the phone to talk to these sellers. What if they said no, and the fear of rejection, so many things. And I am just so happy for you, because the action that I feel like you've taken this year is definitely going to help you in 2021 and 2022, just as it compounds. So I'm just excited for what's to come.
I'm excited too.
There's a really rich man somewhere that said, there's a rich man somewhere that once said, if you get invited to take a ride on a rocket ship, don't ask what seat, just get on that rocket ship.
I love it.
And that makes a lot of sense, right? I feel like a lot of times roller coasters in real estate are like that. It's like, dude, just get on. You're going to figure it out. Whether you had that contract ready for that gentleman or not, you just said yes, and then you figured out the next step. At the end of the day, if there's any real estate investor out there that tells you, I have figured it all out, run like hell, because they have not. I, to this day, am still figuring it out. And I have 18 doors or 19 here in the city where I live, and then I have one out of state. And I still don't know what I'm doing sometimes. I still call Diego and say, dude, I'm in a position right now where I have no idea what's going on. Can you help me through this? And Diego may or may not, right? And I feel like a lot of times people are like, well, I got to figure it all out before I get started. And that's just not true. Just figure out the next step, right? And then the next step. Bite that elephant one at a time, and you're going to get through it.
Yes, most definitely. And when when we were first beginning and I was reading and I'm like, oh man, I got to do actually, I'm feeling that pressure right now because we've got a renter. I'm ready to get a second renter in. I'm trying to get all my forms systematized and everything like that. I'm working 40 hours a week. So I'm in that overwhelmed feeling right now. But that's where it's like, I just have to tell myself to calm down. It doesn't all have to be done today. As long as I'm working on it little by little, piece by piece, I will get it. And then you just keep moving forward. You just, pick one aspect to start working on and just keep working on it.
Amy, being comfortable in real estate is really boring. I hate when I'm sitting for 2 months and everything is systemized and everything is getting paid and there's no deals in the pipeline and I'm sleeping 12 hours a day. That is boring. Okay. I love the oh my gosh, I got this closing here and Diego needs me to pick up rent here. And like all these things are going on. That's where I thrive. I love that, so enjoy it, thrive through it. You're going to crush it. 2021 is only beginning and I can already tell that you're going to kill it. Like Diego said, we're going to wrap it up a little bit, but I do have one couple last questions and then we'll let you go. But one of those is, first, who is the dog in the back? What's the name? No, let him bark. What's his name?
That's Tucker. He sees somebody walking outside.
Why does he act all big and bad? He thinks he's huge, doesn't he?
He's a little tiny dog.
I love that. I love that. So, okay, what would you tell someone that wants to get involved in real estate investing? Let's talk about what has positively affected you the most when doing these deals. And like, how have you gotten past that mindset that you can do this, right? Having a full-time job, right? Like, what would you tell someone that's like, oh, well, that's just Amy, though. I could never do that.
So I think the biggest thing I would say is you need to find a mentor in a mastermind group. My mastermind group and mentor, can I name them?
Of course.
So I'm in the Rat Race to FI mentorship mastermind group. I've been with them since day one. I'll probably be with them forever. I love them because I know that if I have a question, I can go to them at any time. We have weekly calls. The accountability is there. But the other thing that I also love is our network together, because other people in the mastermind group, I don't know how many different ideas I have got from them. So you need to have that great network surrounding you. So anytime you need something, you have somebody to go to, or vice versa. That would be my answer. That Rat Race to FI Mastermind is awesome. It got me to where I needed to be.
They're going to think that I made you say that or something.
I didn't.
But I appreciate that.
I am not paid to say this. I'm not, nope, nothing. I just that's my firm belief.
Amy, we appreciate that. Diego and I generally have a passion to teach real estate. I think it oozes out of both of us to see other people win, because we know there's enough to go around. Last thing, where can everyone find you? Where can people get to know you? A lot of people are going to be asking.
Yeah, my Instagram is Amy Swayze, and it's SWAYZE. And then I am just starting to develop a website, and that is mailboxmoneyinvestments.com.
I love that. Mailboxmoneyinvestments.com. We'll have Diego write that down and we'll get it in the show notes. I think that's great. And then we'll plug in your Instagram for sure. Amy, thank you so much for being on Rat Race to FI podcast. I love that you were able to come on and share your story. I think those are great W's. I think there's still so much more for you to come, and how far you've gone already. You're just living proof that anyone can do this, at any position in life, even with a full-time job. Congratulations. Keep crushing it. And I can't wait to have you back on the show.
Thank you guys so much.
Take care, Amy. Thank you.
The Rat Race to FI podcast, where we discuss money, mindset, real estate investing, and ways to achieve financial independence. Whether you are a rookie or a veteran needing new ideas for investing or creating side hustles, you're in the right place.